You want it to be, especially the opening chapter for your debut in particular, I would say you want it to be noisy. And so by that, I mean something that's going to attract attention and that's different in some way. So I guess, mine was a little bit inbuilt, as in, I think for the first chapter, anyone reading it will go, okay, right, so this is a crime thriller, but the interpreter is the main character. This I haven't seen. So you want something they haven't seen before. And I think it's kind of okay if 90% is conventions that we're familiar with. In fact, it's good. You certainly want a certain amount of familiarity, because that's why we like genre fiction. But I would say really be clear and identify the one noisy, I'm using inverted commas with my fingers, noisy trait that you've got that's going to get attention because we haven't seen that before. I would say that's the number one. Also, primarily, what are we trying to do with an opening? We're trying to hook someone in. So I think you have to raise questions, at least one question, one big question. In theatre, it's called the dramatic question. And one of my favorite playwrights, the American Marsha Norman, says, by page 8, you want to tell your audience when they can go home. So they need to know when this question is answered, then I can go home. So, if we're talking about Chekhov's Three Sisters, okay, well, if they get to Russia, if they get to Moscow, then I can go home. So you want to raise a question. So the audience is like, okay, I'm reading to find that out. That's really clear. I know what I'm doing there. And I would say, look, again, I guess this is my theatre bias coming through, but I would say that you want some good dialogue in that opening as well. I think it's really important that your characters from the beginning sound different. It sounds really obvious, but I think all of us know from our reading that can be really quite hard to do, and sometimes you do pick up books and scripts and the characters can sound quite similar. So yeah, from the beginning, I would say really differentiate those voices.